yes, you will fail and fumble spectacularly in your own unique ways. And amazingly, you'll also journal your failure in your own unique ways. Based on that, we'll give you a coaching session, one-on-one, to point out your blind spots. Sometimes we provide platform for you to showcase to your fellow residents midway to gain more feedback.
Lemon curd, and then candied orange, grapefruit and lemon peel. That depends on what you try, honestly. Like, do you think the bitterness works or doesn't work? Or is it too bitter?
Because it was like damn nice at first, but then afterwards the bitterness just pumped inside.
Right inside. So
how am I supposed to say it? Just pump inside. Pump inside.
Well, crispies from scratch.
What do you think is the response on the ground?
It's just fruits and Rice Krispies. It may sound like weird, but I think when you combine it together and we presented it as such, it's really good. In terms of the commercial food aspect, I think that's where I think we are now getting more of the taste profile first rather than the commercial part.
I think because of like the flavor profile of one of our dishes, which is really quite sour. Some people really didn't like it, but some people also really loved it.
Wow, I didn't realize our residents, right, are such good food critics, right? This particular configuration, right, is just a proxy to your final product.
Yes, it is.
It's just to understand whether the flavors go together and whether it will be accepted. Because like the different fruits as well, we want to see what goes best with the Rice Krispies.
Final product is going to be a sushi, right, or a wrap, yes?
Work in progress.
It's work in progress.
We are thinking of changing it now. And like for example, if for this one, we will mold the Rice Krispies into a sphere and then put the fresh fruits inside. So there's no chocolate. It's just like the form of a.
I see. So basically, you are just going to use the form of a Ferrero, and you're going to use that, right, as the basis for packaging your goods inside.
The mac and cheese is good. Then this is my
It was damn good.
Then what's the soy sauce? What is this?
Like, I love it because halfway I could taste like a bit of the cauliflower like while I was biting into it. But like at first when you just first bite into it, right, like you couldn't taste the cauliflower at all. Did you get inspired from Korean barbecue?
Yes.
Oh, not bad.
Nice. Need more sour.
Yeah, I haven't
What do you think about this?
I'm so confused by the taste.
Cauliflower. Crunchy. Because soy sauce is just a plain salty taste, so you might want to up it with like.
Okay, put it in the serving.
Okay, sure.
Did you all feel that any of your dishes, right, any of your creations fell a bit short in terms of the shock factor?
I think the cauliflower tang yuan is the most surprising one.
What's the most surprising one?
When they heard it's like cauliflower, they were like, oh.
People saying like, oh, it's cauliflower tang yuan. I won't want to try that because it's weird. So I guess the surprise is very high, but it's high until they don't want to try it. So maybe it's not very successful.
So in this case, right, when you presented the food to people, right, did you present various conditions for them to try and experience?
They weren't really sure about the taste of the ngoh hiang itself, so I told them to eat it separately from the lettuce. Then they did say the lettuce did help with this whole the whole presentation and the whole taste of the entire thing. But what I realized is the taste of the kimchi still needs to be stronger. And yeah, I have really gathered some feedback and some opinions from my friends. And basically what I will do next is just experiment with the fermentation process.
Were there any particularly interesting comments from the food tasters?
I told the participants to try it without the soy sauce first, and then the second bite with the soy sauce. And then they preferred the soy sauce more. And I asked them whether it kind of overpowers the cheesy taste, and they said no, it actually brings out the cheesy taste, which was like really surprising for me because I thought that it would kind of dilute the taste.
Then what was this just now?
This is
mala. Slightly dry. I would like it if the mala taste would have lingered. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I feel like the prawn is too much.
For today's showcase, right, you did not use a specific binder. So why is that the case?
We did consider the gelatin, but we feel that if we were to incorporate gelatin into noodle, you have homogeneous feel to it, the texture-wise. Because when you cut it through, it'll be the same texture throughout. Yeah, then the mouthfeel is a bit different from what we actually want. So we tried just drying it on its own, and we find that it actually works.
Has this particular event, right, given you any insight, right, into what transformed instant noodles actually means, as an experimental track?
So some of them gave some feedback that the aftertaste was different than the normal what you have eaten mala outside. So we could try optimizing this area for our subsequent sessions. Yeah, so this is one takeaway, I think.
They also said that the peanut taste is very strong. So they say we can cut down on the peanut. Yeah, so we can try that also.
Were there any specific comments about your instant noodles or not? I mean, that is the star of the show, right?
They didn't know that we made it from scratch. They thought it's really off the rack and just cooking.
Ah, that is an opportunity cost, isn't it?
Hello.
Hi.
Morning.
Okay. Morning.
Hi. Morning. Don't be so nervous. We look at your progress journal. It's lacking in a lot of details. We are not exactly sure what was on your mind when you're doing the work, what you noticed. So maybe you can tell us verbally a bit.
I think mainly none of us expected the whole germination process to take that long. So that kind of shocked us that we actually failed so many times and had to redo that number of batches.
So the first time for the marigold seeds and the bitter gourd seeds, I think was because of the seeds. The age of the seeds was unknown. So it's quite old, the seeds, so it doesn't seem to germinate, and we use the tissue method.
Our main conclusion that maybe we just had bad seeds. And because our second try really try and put it in the soil already, and what we know is that soil will work. The tissue may or may not work. We kind of knew that already.
So I have been trying to listen to whatever you have been saying. To summarize, you all are just gambling.
Yeah, kinda.
If you were to do that again, to go back to the starting point, what would you do differently?
I think first of all, I would examine where the source is and how old is the seed, or where do you get the seeds from?
But some other plants maybe require a certain period of dormancy before it will germinate well, right? And when you don't know, right? That's what do you do?
I think there needs to be a more systematical approach, or I need to be more aware of what factors or details that I need to include in the journal. I also think there might need to be more sharing of observations in that sense.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Observation has to be as objective as possible and as consistent as possible among everybody.
Do you mean by that we should experiment? So I'll know which one grows, so which condition is best for the germination.
The project is meant to be experimentation to begin with, and we don't need you to strictly keep to the laboratory protocol or whatever it is, but to apply that.
So we don't mind hearing you fail, but we expect to hear your analysis and reflection, why you fail.
I did consult my parents. They have their own garden at our house. I just didn't really participate in the gardening work. But when I came here, I just thought, okay, this is a nice chance for me. Maybe can have a common interest with them. That would be nice. Didn't really expect it to be as scientific. Yeah.
You should have a higher target. Not just to capture what your parents do and be able to communicate with them. In the end of the day, actually you should be able to help their gardening, but inject some science and to help them do better, isn't it?
Yes, they will be so proud of their son.
Yes, and the proof that it's as long as you want to learn, you can really do well.
In the next episode, we shall see them brainstorm for their final presentation and present their products to the examiner.